Hi, I'd like to introduce myself. I am Officer C.J.P.O.A. Mohammed. I work at the California Men's Colony State Prison in San Luis Obispo. It's rather strange that I've had my paperwork in for the Executive Vice President spot for well over 4 or 5 weeks going on. The only way that I found out that I was even on the slate was I happened to get a text message saying, "You may want to look at this." And it was the Executive Vice President slate, and I was on it. I find that rather amusing that I can't even get a letter saying that I'm not suspended anymore from the union, let alone saying that I'm actually allowed to run for the Executive Vice President spot. So what I want to do is I want to give you a little bit of my history, my thoughts on some of the things going wrong with our union, and hopefully that you can make an informed decision about what's going on with our union and with who you're going to vote for the vice president spot. I only have 30 days to do this, so the only way that I have to be able to reach all the chapters in such a short time frame with all the holidays coming up is through videos like this and my website, which will be up and running tomorrow. I've been an officer for 16 years now. I've mainly worked around the mental health issues going on with the department. I've actually worked all the other levels, 2, 3s, and 1s. So those areas I'm more familiar with than I would say a level 4. Being 16 years at this, I can say that I've seen a lot, done a lot, been a lot. That's part of my main history of who I am and what I am. So that should give you a general idea of who I am and probably the ideas that I stand for. First of all, I'd like to thank all you, the members of C.C.P.O.A, giving me this chance to run for this position. I appreciate the fact that we'll get some ideas thrown out, some new blood in there to get rid of the corruption, the aristocratic people that we have running our organization right now. And yes, I do especially refer to Chuck Alexander. A vote for Chuck Alexander is a vote for the corruption, the greed, the way that our union has just fallen apart, the way that we've lost our political clout, the money that we've lost. Everything that you see wrong with the system is Chuck Alexander. He is not the white knight that Mike Jimenez is portraying him to be. This guy who's never done anything for us, but all of a sudden comes out of nowhere and acts like he's the cleanest guy in the world. Well, Chuck, I have some bad news from you, or for you. You're not. You are a worthless piece of scum that needs to quit now and resign. You, as everybody knows, have been involved in every single decision that has cost our union dearly these last 5 years. Yes, Chuck, you do know about the CUSA lawsuit. It was brought up to the CMC chapter membership 2 years ago by me personally. I presented both lawsuits that are against this union right now due to Mike's inept actions and your inept actions for allowing it to happen. Yes, Chuck, you knew. Chuck Helton knew, Louis Adami knew 2 years ago that it was brought out to memberships light. I showed it to them. There's 120 members or plus that I believe showed up at that meeting, Chuck. So you're calling all those members of CMC a lie? And don't try to fall back on the chapter president because minutes are minutes and those actually are there. Unlike my chapter 13, Chuck, which you guys violated my due process rights on by not allowing the recording of the meeting to be shown to the state board members who illegally suspended me. And that was you, Chuck, who did that because Mike Jimenez was not running the union at that time. You were. Yes, Chuck, I said you were. Now, Chuck, let's continue on this path that we're going down now since we're here already. Let's talk about the house, Chuck, that you don't want to talk to the Folsom chapter members about. Yes, Chuck, that was nonprofit corporation property. We should have 3 houses listed under our assets. That was a house that you got, Chuck, at a discount rate from Mike Jimenez. You know it as well as I do, Chuck, that you stole nonprofit corporate property. Reason number 1 why Chuck is a liar. Number 2, Chuck, why did you take $5,000 of our political action committee fund? That's right, Chuck. Public records don't lie. I see you still refuse to ask that question or try to lie around or get away from that question, Chuck. So, Since when have you become a public accountant, and since when have you become a lawyer? And why does our PAC funds have to pay for that through you? Can you explain that one, Chuck? Or better yet, Chuck, can we explain the memo showing that it was only exploratory dialogue and had nothing to do with talks regarding concessionary contract talks with the DPA and the governor? And you wonder why we're in the position we're in right now, Chuck? So you're going to now say that that memo never existed, it was put out by somebody, didn't leak out from headquarters? Well, I would love to see Steve Weiss sit on the stand and see what Steve has to say about that, because he was the one who directed that memo at you, Chuck. So call us a liar again, Chuck, but seems like somebody, Chuck, is lying, and I don't think it's membership again. And worst of all, Chuck, you're a firm supporter of SB 399, Chuck, which lets juvenile convicted murderers of first degree of cops, Chuck, out. Lets them out, Chuck. How dare you put other law enforcement officers who were killed in the line of duty and just, I can't even think of words to call that, Chuck, but you're scum for doing that. You and both Stephen Walker, Chuck, should not even consider yourselves public law enforcement at all. That is a joke that you're going to let juvenile killers of law enforcement officers out. So what would happen if one of these so-called juvenile offenders that you now love so much, Chuck, kills somebody in the YA? One of our fellow officers, somebody who C.C.P.O.A is supposed to represent. So we no longer count them as public safety anymore? Is that what it is, Chuck? So now we're exposing all this, Chuck. You can call me a liar, you can rant and rave at me, Chuck, and you can look at me funny, Chuck. But I think you're a joke. You are simply trash that shouldn't even be considered in law enforcement. You violated the public oath that you took to protect the citizens of this state. So, Chuck, until you resign, Chuck, I'm going to be here and I will be running against you. So, membership, I may come off harsh. You may not agree with the way that this video is being done, but I can tell you right now, a vote for Chuck Alexander is a vote for the corruption, the vote for the inability for our union to simply strike a contractual deal with the government in the times when we need it, the ability to put lawmakers that laugh at us, basically laugh at us and take our money, and we get nothing in return, nothing at all. I think the record speaks for itself. So if you don't vote for me, I firmly believe you should vote for Wally Tucker. Wally Tucker is a strong individual who's running for the executive vice president position. He's a man of character, a man of faith, a man who will do what is right for us to get our union back on track. Also, I suggest you vote for John Lathrop for the executive vice president, for the executive supervisory vice president position. From what I've heard of John and from his writings and from what I've heard from other officers, he is a person of integrity, a man who will go in there and clean up headquarters to get things done. So if anything, as an association which we once were, I beg you, the members who this video will be seen by, if you can't vote for me, I firmly believe you should be voting for Wally Tucker and John Lathrop. We need to get our union back. We need to stop the corruption. We need to do what's right for not only us, but for the taxpayers that we are beholden to. So when you think closely about that delegate vote, make sure you vote properly. Let's do what's right for this union. Let's get us back on track. One of my main campaign promises that I promise you, if I was elected in, is that I will want a recall of everybody who works for CDCR headquarters. That means I don't care who you are, from the supervisor, vice president for institutions, to the YA vice president. Everybody gets recalled back to their institutions. The only ones that need to be left at the headquarters are the state president and the state executive vice president. We need to get our funding under control. We need to see who's who. We need to go back to the basics. We need to be accountable to membership. We need to show you our Amex cards. We need to show you where the money is going. We don't need to have membership try to sue to see what is going on with our books. It should be public record. We should have nothing to hide. That is what my main goal is if I am elected. So I wish you members the best, and I hope you guys take a close look at this video and come up with a decision that you feel is best for our association. And at this time, I would also like to announce that I'm giving my full support to the Revolutionary Council for Correctional Peace Officers of California. This group will be picketing at the Rio in Las Vegas during our convention of the 5th, 6th, and 7th. I give them my full support. They are there for one thing only, and that is to see that Mike Jimenez, Chuck Alexander, Chuck Helton, and every executive member who has known about the corruption of our union are all resigned, and all of them are out of C.C.P.O.A for good. That means you're not suspended. That means you're gone. No longer part of our union. You've corrupted us enough, and all of you need to go. And that's what they stand for, and that's what I firmly believe in. I will be walking the picketing lines with them. I will be giving them my full moral support. So please, send them you can email them at REVCOUNCIL4CPO@gmail.com. Again, that is REVCOUNCIL4CPO@gmail.com. I will also be a sponsor of their website, and I will have that coming out of my own pocket because that's how much I believe in this organization and the officers who are standing behind it. If you like any other facts from me, my website will be up tomorrow, but you can email me at cmo4ecvp@gmail.com. Again, that is cmo4ecvp@gmail.com. Again, I'd like to thank the membership for their time for this video. I'd also like to say God bless the troops and God bless those officers who are fighting for us in Iraq and in Afghanistan. God bless you all. God bless this country. Godspeed out to every member of our association, and be safe in the institution. Again, thank you very much for your time, and God bless you all.